What's going on, y'all? You already know what it is. It's Trev here. This is the Infinite Reps podcast. This is episode number 10. Okay, I'm super excited for what we're going to discuss today. Follow us at Killer Trev12 on Instagram. I'm gonna jump right into it. Okay, so again, this is the Infinite Reps podcast, and we're all about the infinite expansion of the mind. When it comes down to it, just like Marcus Garvey says, intelligence rules the world and ignorance bears the burden, okay? So the book that we're going to discuss today is by Newport. It's called Deep Work, okay? Deep Work, all right? This book is fire, all right? This book is fire. Rules for success in a distracted world, okay? Deep Work. We're going to talk about the flow state. We're going to talk about fragmented attention, okay? And we're going to talk about focus and concentration, okay? But basically, what's the big idea here? The big idea with this book, again, this was actually published in 2016, so it's a very recent work. Cal Newport he's a smart guy, very smart guy, just to put it simply, okay? So definitely get into this information. Hopefully, I say something here that will make you want to check out the work for yourself. Remember, I'm always going to give you the source. I'm never going to act like some information is mine. This is all about focus and high performance. Okay, so deep work. What is deep work? So deep work has to do with performing professional activities in a state of distraction-free concentration. That's deep work. Distraction-free concentration. Okay. What this allows you to do when you get into a state of deep work is it allows you to create value and improve your skills, okay? Create value and improve your skills. In the book, I forgot what page they put this quote on, but they say that deep work, this idea of deep work of being in a distracted, free, concentrative state, that is the superpower of the 21st century. Let me say it again. That is the superpower of the 21st century, okay? Being in a state of distraction-free concentration, okay? So deep work, they say, is becoming increasingly rare, okay? Cal Newport is breaking it down. He's saying the state of being focused, okay? The state of being focused in deep work is becoming increasingly rare, and at the same time, is becoming increasingly more valuable, okay? So again, you'll make more money, you'll be more successful, et cetera, if you can get into a state of deep work. So definitely check out this book. Check out how he breaks down how you can get into these states and the importance of it, okay? But there's two core abilities for thriving in the new economy. What is the new economy? We're talking about the tech boom, the gig economy, hitting licks on the internet, getting to the bag on the internet, right? Things are moving so fast. And there's two core abilities, right, that you need to know that he breaks down in the book for thriving in the new economy of today. Okay, it's not like the old economy of yesterday. It's a different economy. Okay, the share economy, the gig economy. Okay, it's the ability to master hard things. Okay, that's number one. The ability to become a master of hard things. All right, set yourself apart from everybody else. Get a specialized knowledge. Master something that's hard. That's the first core ability. And number two is the ability to produce at an elite level in your field, okay? In terms of both your quality and your speed, all right? So the bottom line with deep work, right, that he breaks down is that if you can't learn, you can't thrive, okay? If you can't learn, you can't thrive. If you're constantly distracted, you can't learn. Henceforth, you're not going to be able to thrive in life, okay? So the inescapable conclusion is that learning hard things quickly, you must be able to focus intensely without distraction. So again, we're going to talk about a little bit about willpower. We're going to talk a little bit about again this idea of the flow state, but what we're mostly going to talk about is social media and how that distracts us, okay? So we know exactly how it distracts us, but we're going to break down in the context of this book, right? Because this is Cal Newport's information. So he says that deep work, it generates the flow state, okay? Deep work generates the flow state. And the flow state is what makes humans happy. This is a key point because contrary to popular belief, most people think that being in a state of comfort and being in a state of relaxation is what's going to make them happy. Absolutely not true. Getting shit done is what's going to make you happy, okay? Flow state, task completion is what's going to make you happy, okay? And the cool thing is, when it comes down to deep work, less is more, okay? What does that mean? Less is more. You can accomplish, right? You can accomplish a lot more. You can a lot more productive results in just say like 2 hours of deeply concentrated work, undistracted work, focused work, than if you were multitasking throughout your day, okay? Scrolling and liking pictures throughout your day, right? So again, we're gonna get into this whole social media aspect. I wanna get through a couple other points first, but this is not a knock on social media at all, okay? This is just becoming aware of different ideas so that we can implant in our subconscious mind so that hopefully we can go ahead and apply these ideas to our life and make our lives better. That's what it's about. Infinite expansion of mind, and we want to thrive, right? But how do you thrive? You get into deep work. You got to get into deep work. You got to focus on something. You got to focus on your craft, and you got to get better at your craft, okay? So just a couple hours, right? Remember this, less is more. Just a couple hours of being completely dialed in to your craft, to your task at hand is way more impactful than multitasking while you're doing what you need to do. Okay, so willpower, right? He breaks it down that your willpower has nothing to do with the type of person you are. Okay, it has nothing to do with your character, right? It's more about like a muscle that tires with time. Okay, throughout your day, it's basically a muscle that gets tired, right? That's your willpower. Okay, you have a finite amount of willpower that depletes throughout your day, and the key is to move beyond just good intentions and actually set up rituals and routines that make it easier to get into deep work, to get into the flow state, okay? And what is deep work? Again, deep work is performing your professional activities in a state of distraction-free concentration. So, Cal Newport, he breaks down a bunch of philosophies. He gets really, really in depth. He goes into studies, philosophies, concepts, right? He deals with like ancient Greek philosophers, all that stuff. It gets really deep. This is a really, really good book. Very, very recommended, right? Just like everything else we break down here on Infinite Reps, right? But he breaks down these so that you can check these out yourself. I won't get into these different concepts, but he says things like spending time in nature to think, right? Get into some form of meditation. Everybody needs to get into some form of meditation. Clear your mind, right? But real quick, let's just get into this whole social media thing, okay? So, again, the title of this book, right? The title of this book is what? It's Deep Work. Deep Work. Rules for... Why does my brightness keep messing up? Rules for focused success in a distracted world. Rules for focused success in a distracted world, okay? So, social media, right? He does actually a whole section on why you should quit social media, all right? I'm not telling anybody to quit social media, but he says that you should probably quit social media. And it's because distraction is a destroyer of depth, okay? Deep work, deep depth, right? That's the same word. So distraction destroys deep work, right? Distraction doesn't allow you to focus. Distraction, this is pretty straightforward, right? Distraction doesn't allow you to get into that flow state, right? When we get into the flow state, that's what makes us happy, when we get shit done, okay? So it's a destroyer of the flow state, distraction, right? And thus, it's a destroyer of your happiness. If you're constantly distracted, if your attention is fragmented throughout your day, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be unfulfilled, okay? So people who multitask all the time cannot filter out irrelevancy. Okay, that's a quote directly from the book. I'm going to say that again. People who multitask all the time cannot filter out irrelevancy, okay? What is the ROI on your activities? What's the return on investment on your activities, okay? Are they irrelevant or are they relevant? And he goes into a bunch of different ideas, but one thing he focuses on is this idea of boredom, okay? And he says that social media allows us to never have a moment of boredom in our lives, right? You're standing in line, right? You're waiting for a friend to show up for dinner, and you're not even allowed to be bored anymore, right? You can find entertainment right on your phone. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? No, nobody wants to be bored, but understanding these concepts, right? Being aware of these concepts, right? Of deep work is that from the perspective of concentration, okay? According to Cal Newport, from the perspective of your concentration, your focus, your flow state, deep work and boredom is incredibly valuable. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So being in a state of, perceived boredom, maybe your craft is really engaging, right? But being able to, for example, practice, right, and get better and improve your skills, that can be very monotonous sometimes. That can be very boring sometimes. But it is essential to be able to be bored, to be comfortable being in an uncomfortable state of boredom. Okay, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable sometimes to be bored, but it's important that you're not training your mind to just take the path of least resistance, because what happens is if you can't deal with boredom, you're never going to be able to get into a flow state. You're never going to be into a state of deep work. Okay, and he has what's called he goes over what's called the craftsman approach to social media tools. And he says that, right, he says that you should only adopt a tool if its positive impacts outweigh the negative impacts, right? That's pretty straightforward, right? You should only adopt a social media tool if the positive impacts outweigh the negative impacts, meaning use them only if they impact the core factors positively that determine your success and your happiness. Now, are you on social media just for entertainment, or is it helping you get to the bag, right? Is it an actual tool, right? Because we talk about these social media tools, right? One thing that's interesting is that if you go in and you download Snapchat, Twitter, you go ahead and download Instagram, right? Facebook, whatever else motherfuckers be on. I don't know what people be on, right? But those are the main four. When you download these apps, delete it off your phone, then download it. And look at the age that it says on there. It says that this app is for teens. Not only teens, it says it's for 12-year-old and plus. Okay? So it's for children. Bottom line, is for children. And that's what it's, and that's how people use it, right? So again, Cal Newport, he argues that you should only adopt these tools if there's some type of return on investment on the time that it's taking you away from your actual craft, okay? If it's fragmenting your attention, if you know that you need to be doing task A and you're doing B through Z, right? Maybe you're still getting it done, but maybe you're not getting it done on an elite level, right? Because that's going back, right? What are the two core abilities for thriving in the new economy? The internet economy, the age of enlightenment, of the light of information, the ability to master hard things, okay, and the ability to produce on an elite level in terms of your quality and speed. So you got to be able to produce good things fast, good content fast, right? And what takes away from that is distraction. Okay, so what is the return on investment on where you're spending your time? That's the question here. Okay, and go through each tool, right? This is just a little quick challenge. Go through each tool. Go through your Snapchat. Go through your Twitter. Go through your Instagram. Are you just using it for entertainment? Ask yourself some honest questions. Is it just for entertainment, or are you getting to the bag, right? What's the point? Or maybe it's not about money, but again, is it helping you to become successful, right? Because how you become successful is by producing, right, real results. And you do that by getting into a flow state and getting into deep work, okay? So the question is not whether, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, whether they offer some benefits, because they definitely do, right? Entertainment is a great benefit. The question is not whether they offer some benefits. The question is whether they offer enough benefit to justify all the attention and the time that you put into it, okay? And this goes with any activity in our lives. But again, I kind of wanted to focus on this idea of social media because I thought it was cool how he breaks this down, okay? So again, if I'm saying anything that kind of resonates with you, go check out Cal Newport's work. It's very, very in-depth. I can't get into, all the specifics because I wouldn't even be doing it justice, okay? So the bottom line is, if you spend time on low service activities, right? If you spend time on low service activities, you're taking away from the impact, or you're taking away from the time that you get be spending on high impact activities. That's pretty straightforward. The more you only have 24 hours in a day, the more time you spend scrolling and swiping, right, on low service activities. And maybe for some people, being on these different tools are directly impactful to their business, okay? But I'm more talking about the entertainment aspect of these tools, okay? Because they have a very strong pull on our attention, okay? And if you spend more time on the low service activities, right, just using it for entertainment, it takes away from your high impact activities, building your business, building personal growth, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to do in your life. I don't know what you want to do in your life. But again, let's just dive deeper into this whole idea of quitting social media. So he breaks down how these guys in Silicon Valley, how they design these tools, okay? He breaks down how Mark Zuckerberg, he designs this, it's like a slot machine effect, basically, okay? And it's massively addictive, okay? It's massively addictive, and it severely damages your attempts to succeed with concentration, okay? And this is probably really, everybody probably experiences this, right? But again, these social media tools, they are designed to be addictive, right? It's the slot machine effect, right? He breaks this down in the book. And he even talks about how a lot of the creators of these social media tools, they don't even let their own children get on there because they know how addictive it is. They know how damaging it is. But again, we're not aware, right? We're just lost in the sauce sometimes. So again, Infinite Reps is about expanding our awareness, right? If you want to really expand your awareness, get into this book and get into some form of deep work, okay? The second thing, right, with this whole aspect of quitting social media, why we don't want to quit social media, or why we spend so much time on it, is what's called FOMO. Everybody know what FOMO is, right? It's the fear of missing out, okay? So these creators of these social media sites, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, they have convinced the culture that if you don't use their products, that you're going to be missing out. Cal Newport totally goes against this idea, and he breaks it down, okay? If you want to know how he breaks it down, read the book, okay? I know that I know nothing. That's why I read books, right? But he breaks it down. So he kind of does it. He actually does a quick parallel, right? Just kind of go over this real quick. He does a parallel, right, to this whole idea of FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. It's like having a closet full of items, right, that you might use someday. It's basically like that, right? You got a whole closet full of stuff that it's basically garbage, right? You're basically scrolling through garbage, but it might be useful, right? You might get a good feel good quote, something that's gonna make you get off your ass and then go and achieve your dreams. No, you're not gonna get it through a quote. You're not gonna get it through a meme, right? You have to get into some deep work. You have to get into a flow state to be successful in life. Okay, I'm not saying this. Cal Newport is saying this. Okay, so number 3. With this whole idea of quitting social media, I think this is really, really cool, and this is one thing I struggle with. Actually, when I read this book, I did a whole social media fast for about 30 days, right? And he says that on social media, right? Let's think of Instagram, for example, right? Because that's what I use mostly. On Instagram, we have convinced ourselves that people actually care what we have to say. We have convinced ourselves that people actually care what we have to say. They actually want to hear what we have to say. And this is totally not true. He says the dynamic is actually this. It's actually an exchange, basically. He says that it's basically, I'll pay attention to what you say, if you pay attention to what I say, regardless of the value. It doesn't matter what the value is. I'll like your photo if you like my photo. I'll watch your story if you watch my story. Because when you see that number go up, right? When you see, 56 people like my story. Oh, today 70 people like my story, or they watch my story. It's the slot machine effect. It's the addictive effect. They've designed it to make you want to put up things that get you more likes. And you're operating from the delusion that people actually care what you have to say. They don't actually care what you have to say. It's just a mutual exchange. It's, I will like what you put up if you like what I put up. So we can all make each other feel good about each other, right? Living in that fantasy world, right? And he breaks this down. This is a very important point, okay? And he says there's no more connection between hard work of producing real value and having people pay attention to you. In other words, people will pay attention to anything you post as long as you pay attention to what they post, okay? And you don't even have to really work hard to get people to pay attention to you, because again, it's a mutual exchange, right? You scratch my back, I scratch yours, right? You pat me on the back and say everything is okay. And again, you can see how these things play out, right? And people don't actually care what you have to say. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. People don't actually care what you have to say. And he breaks down in the book that that no one outside of your closest and your friends and family, that if you were going to do like he recommends that you do a 30-day fast from social media. And he breaks it down that if when you do this, that most people will not even notice that you're gone. Most people don't even notice that you're gone, aside from your closest friends and your family. And I tell you what, when I did the 30-day fast, I did it in the beginning of December. I think I did it maybe it was like late November, and I did it through up to December, through late December, for a full 30 days up until my birthday. Okay, and not one person, and then when I got back on, I didn't have not one notification. Now maybe I'm not as lit as everybody else, but I didn't have not one notification, not one person hit me up. It like nobody knew I was gone, but to me it seemed like, oh my gosh, like I've been like, what's going on? Like I'm dealing with FOMO heavy. Like I'm dealing with FOMO heavy. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm missing out on everything. Everybody's missing what I'm saying. They're probably worried, oh, where's Trev? No, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Okay? So just to kind of, finish things off here, again, if I have said anything that resonates with you, I really, really recommend this book. This is a good work because it's so relevant to how we spend our time. How we spend our time. We spend a lot of time on social media. We spend a lot of time on the internet, web surfing, right? And what he says here in the book, right? He says, if you give your mind something meaningful to do throughout your waking hours, right? If you give your mind something meaningful to do throughout your day, you will end your day more fulfilled, and you'll actually start the next day more relaxed. Okay? So the name of the game is task completion. The name of the game is task completion, right? And instead of doing mindless scrolling and web surfing and basically opening and closing the same 3 or 4 apps over and over again, refreshing the same 3 or 4 apps over and over again to see if you got a notification, see if somebody posted something, right? Instead of that, you want to actually eliminate the addictive pull of these entertainment sites, okay? J. Cole talks about this in a great interview with Angie Martinez. He talks about how like these things were like, it's a pull, right? And you have to really face this thing head on, right? And the way that you do it is you have to give your brain a quality alternative. You have to get into something that requires you to get into a state of deep work. You have to get into mastery, self-mastery, right? And that is going to differ for everybody. Everybody's not going to do it. Maybe your thing is music. Maybe you do art. Maybe you painting and drawing. Maybe you're a writer. Maybe even your job. Even maybe you're you could be in sales, whatever the case may be. But the key is to master And that is what's going to give you a sense of fulfillment in your life. Okay, you want to give your brain a quality alternative to this social media thing. And just to again reiterate this point, in the new economy, there's two core abilities, right, that you need to that you'll need to thrive, okay, in the 21st century, right? So remember, deep work is a superpower. Concentration in the 21st century, being non-distracted, is a superpower. If you can get into a state of focus and flow state, you are a superhero these days. And the two core abilities to thrive in today's economy, number one is the ability to master hard things. How do you master hard things? You have to focus and you have to concentrate, you have to practice, okay? And remember, less is more, right? Less is more. A couple hours of deep focus and deep concentration goes way, way farther, is way more impactful than multitasking. Then, oh, let me check Instagram every 5. Oh, I'm working on my report. Oh, let me see what's going on the ground. No, don't fragment your attention. Keep it here. Keep it focused, right? Check it later. Get you a schedule, okay? And number two is the ability to produce on an elite level, okay? How do you produce on an elite level? By actually producing quality, okay? Quality and speed. And how do you produce quality and speed? By focusing in on the task at hand and not having fragmented attention, okay? So I do want to, this video is a little long. I want to end it here. If you have any book recommendations, email those into infiniterepsinfo@gmail.com. Again, intelligence rules the world and ignorance bears the burden. This is the Infinite Reps podcast. We deal with the infinite expansion of the mind. If I said anything that resonates with you, please check this one out. Please check this one out. Check out previous videos. Like, comment, subscribe. And you already know what it is.